If you clicked on this video, there's a good chance that you are on the dating apps to find a fulfilling relationship. After all, that's been the promise of apps like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and the like, ever since they started up. But if you're a guy, and I'm assuming that if you're watching a Black Ops 2 commentary video that you are, the dating apps are not designed for you to have success. Which sucks because Gen Z, starting in 1996, are on track to become the loneliest generation on record from a relationship standpoint. And relationships generally have just been something that are harder to find across the board. Finding a fulfilling relationship didn't used to be this hard. It feels like any older person who found their partner before the internet will tell you a similar story. How they met their partner in the most unassuming and random place, or how their love was true at first sight, or whatever the case may be. But the theme of these stories, at least in my opinion, always seems to come back to this sense that it just happened and that it was easy. Whereas nowadays, it feels like one of the hardest things to do is to find a fulfilling relationship. There's this immense cultural divide between men and women, and it's only getting wider, and it's happening worldwide. This is a serious problem, and in my opinion, it's one of the defining problems of our lifetimes. And the unfortunate reality of that is that you and everybody else are caught in the middle of it. And I'll be talking a lot more about this problem in the future, but today I wanted to focus on the dating apps and how that played into it. These days, the pull of dating apps is inescapable. It feels like everybody's on them and everybody's talking about them, and it's really the only way to find love anymore, or so they would have you think. When in reality, the majority of men on dating apps are not getting any matches, and the few matches that a lot of men are getting are bots or advertisements. And it does not help that 2/3 of users on these dating apps are men. That makes for a miserable experience, and that drives resentment and bitterness, and it makes you that much farther away from reaching your goal. And even then, most people that you see on dating apps that are actually real people are not an accurate representation of who they are in real life. People pick hyper-curated pictures and bios that they themselves probably didn't write because they have to in order to appease not only the algorithm, but this toxic judgment process that the apps force on you. Another thing that you might have heard, but you definitely need to understand, is that dating apps aren't designed for you to find a partner. Sure, that's a nice side effect of the app, but fulfilling relationships and marriages aren't what the Match Group CEO talks about on his company's earning calls. These apps care about the size of their user base. They want to be gaining users, and they want those users to be spending money on the apps. This means that they build their apps to incentivize you to buy more matches or to buy elevated status that will make you more matchable. See where I'm going with this? This is a system designed for you to lose, because the more you lose, the more likely that you are to fork over some money to try to win. This algorithm that's designed to get you to spend money is acting as a fake matchmaker, and it's artificially worsening your real-life dating experiences too. Like I said, it makes people bitter, resentful, and hateful towards others, and that's worsening this aforementioned cultural divide. If we really care about finding meaningful relationships and bridging this cultural gap, which, believe me, we cannot do one without the other, then we need to take these connections back into our own hands. So what can you do instead of using these apps that are meant to capture your attention and take your money and make you angry, bitter, and resentful? Well, the answer to that is probably going to sound like a letdown to a lot of you, and some of you might flat out disagree with me, but you really need to get out into the world and meet people. Do fun things for the sake of doing fun things, and meet people for the sake of meeting people. The real potential partners that you actually want to be dating are out there living their lives, experiencing the world. They're not stuck on these dating apps. And yeah, I know they might have a dating app presence, but they're also out there living their lives, and that is where you want to meet them, because they're not going to meet you on the apps. Make no mistake about it, I am not a proponent for isolating yourself or giving up on dating. I think you need to do everything on the contrary, and that means going out and doing things. If you like playing sports, join an intramural sports league around your town. If you're religious, join groups at church that are focused on your age range. Join book clubs, bouldering groups, running clubs, volunteer, do something that's out in the world and is a social activity. Real connections are built by seeing the same people over and over again in a similar place, doing a similar thing. The one thing that the apps got right is that dating is a numbers game. The first person that you meet at Run Club, for example, probably isn't going to go out with you, and that's okay. They might end up just being a cool person that you like to run with, or you might never see them again. You might end up becoming a friend of theirs, and many relationships are started because of shared mutual friends. The point is that you need to meet a lot of people to find the right person for you. In my experience, you're often going to find the best people in the places that you're least expecting at a time when you're least expecting it. Be a well-rounded, good person that's interesting and has hobbies, and the right person will come along. I feel dismissive saying it like that, but it really is that simple. And if nothing else, you're doing fun activities. You're meeting cool people. You're out in the world having fun. These are aspects that I feel like a lot of young men are overlooking in their lives, and they're really suffering for it. Now, back to the dating apps. They definitely work for some people. A lot of my buddies have been in or are in relationships that started on the apps, and that's wonderful. I'm super happy that it works for some folks, but if you're watching this video, my guess is that it might not be working for you, and I empathize with that, and I want you to know that there are other, better options out there. If you have any activities or hobbies that you've been doing and have found success with meeting people through, please leave them down in the comments below. I've really only scratched the surface, and there are thousands upon thousands of things that you can lean on or go out into the world and do and meet wonderful people. But that's all for me today. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing, and I will see you next time.